Before you follow people just because they look confident, popular, or successful, stop and ask yourself where they are really going. A crowd can make bad decisions look normal when everybody around you is doing the same thing. Many people lose their peace, purpose, and future because they were too afraid to stand alone. Sometimes the biggest danger in life is not failure, but following the wrong people while thinking you are headed in the right direction. One bad influence can slowly pull you away from the person you were meant to become. There are people who will clap for you while secretly leading you into destruction. Not everyone who laughs with you truly cares about your future. Some people only want company while they make reckless decisions. They do not think about consequences because they are focused on temporary excitement. When you spend enough time around negativity, it slowly starts shaping the way you think. A lot of young people ruin opportunities trying to fit in with people who would never sacrifice anything for them. The wrong crowd makes you believe being careless is cool. They pressure you to ignore discipline, disrespect your family, and waste your time. At first, it feels harmless because everyone around you is doing it. Later, you realize you traded your goals for acceptance. You can always tell the direction of your life by looking at the people closest to you. If your circle constantly encourages drama, laziness, and bad habits, your future will eventually reflect that. People influence each other more than they realize. Energy spreads fast, whether it is positive or negative. That is why choosing the right environment matters so much. Some people are only brave when they are surrounded by a crowd. They encourage dangerous behavior because they think they will never face the consequences. But when problems show up, everyone disappears and leaves you alone to deal with the damage. The same people who hyped you up will suddenly act like they barely know you. That is the painful truth about fake loyalty. The wrong crowd can slowly destroy your confidence without you noticing it. They laugh at your dreams and make you feel embarrassed for wanting more out of life. Instead of motivating you, they try to keep you comfortable in mediocrity. People who are afraid to grow usually hate seeing others improve. Misery always wants company. There are people who waste years chasing validation from groups that never truly cared about them. They change how they dress, speak, and act just to fit in. Over time, they lose touch with their real personality. Pretending to be someone else eventually becomes exhausting. Real peace comes when you stop living for the approval of others. The crowd is not always right just because it is bigger. History has shown that large groups can make terrible decisions together. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one willing to stand alone. It takes courage to walk away from people who are leading you in the wrong direction. Not everybody will understand your decision, but your future will thank you for it. Peer pressure does not always come in obvious ways. Sometimes it is subtle jokes, small comments, or constant encouragement toward bad choices. Little by little, your standards begin to drop. You start accepting behavior you once promised yourself you would avoid. That is how dangerous environments slowly change people. A person who truly cares about you will never pressure you into destroying yourself. Real friends protect your future instead of risking it. They encourage growth, discipline, and accountability. Good people want to see you succeed even when it takes hard work. The wrong crowd only cares about temporary entertainment. Many people mistake attention for friendship. Just because people invite you around does not mean they value you. Some groups only keep people around when they are useful or entertaining. The moment you stop benefiting them, they move on quickly. Real loyalty is rare and should never be taken lightly. The wrong crowd often normalizes things that should never feel normal. Lying, cheating, disrespect, and recklessness become everyday behavior. When negative habits are repeated enough, they stop feeling wrong. That is why protecting your mind and values is so important. What you constantly see eventually affects your thinking. Sometimes God removes people from your life because He knows where they are leading you. Losing certain friendships can hurt in the moment, but not every separation is a loss. Some people were distractions disguised as companions. You cannot grow into your purpose while staying attached to people determined to remain stuck. People love talking about success, but they rarely talk about the sacrifices required to reach it. Sometimes success means distancing yourself from environments that feel familiar. Growth requires uncomfortable decisions. You may lose friends when you start taking your future seriously. Not everyone will celebrate your discipline. The wrong crowd can make bad habits feel exciting at first. Staying out late, avoiding responsibilities, and making reckless choices may seem fun temporarily, but eventually those actions catch up to people. Regret always arrives after the excitement fades away. Consequences do not disappear just because a group made the same mistake together. Some people only feel powerful when they can influence others negatively. They pressure people into risky situations because it makes them feel important. Instead of improving themselves, they pull others downward. Weak people often try to create weaker people around them. Strong people inspire growth. You should pay attention to how people react when you start improving yourself. The right crowd will support your goals and encourage your discipline. The wrong crowd will mock your progress and try to tempt you back into old habits. Not everybody benefits from seeing you level up. Some people preferred the version of you that lacked direction. There are people sitting in prison today because they followed the wrong crowd for temporary approval. One bad decision can change your entire future forever. Many regrets begin with the sentence, "Everybody else was doing it." Following blindly can lead people into situations they never imagined for themselves. Your environment shapes your mindset more than you think. If everyone around you constantly complains, avoids responsibility, and refuses to grow, it becomes harder to stay motivated. Negativity spreads quickly through conversations and habits. That is why protecting your mental environment matters just as much as protecting your physical environment. The wrong crowd often makes people feel ashamed for having standards. They call discipline boring and maturity weak. They laugh at people who focus on goals instead of distractions. But later in life, the same disciplined people usually end up living the lives everybody else wishes they had. Not every lonely season is a bad thing. Sometimes being alone protects you from becoming like the people around you. Solitude can give you clarity, focus, and peace. It is better to walk alone with purpose than follow a crowd headed toward destruction. Temporary loneliness is cheaper than lifelong regret. Many people ignore warning signs because they fear being excluded. They know certain friendships are unhealthy, but they stay anyway because they hate feeling alone. Unfortunately, staying connected to toxic people eventually damages your own peace. Protecting your future sometimes requires difficult boundaries. You cannot expect a positive future while constantly surrounding yourself with negative influences. The people around you affect your habits, mindset, and decisions every single day. Conversations shape beliefs more than people realize. That is why wise people choose their circle carefully. The wrong crowd often celebrates self-destruction. They encourage people to waste money, disrespect themselves, and avoid accountability. At first, it looks exciting from the outside, but underneath all the laughter is usually pain, insecurity, and emptiness. Broken people often hide their struggles behind entertainment. A real friend will tell you the truth even when it is uncomfortable. Fake friends only tell you what keeps the moment fun. They avoid honesty because they care more about fitting in than protecting each other. Honest correction may sting temporarily, but it can save your future. You should never let people pressure you into betraying your values. Once you compromise your morals repeatedly, it becomes easier to justify almost anything. Small compromises eventually turn into bigger mistakes. Protecting your integrity is one of the most important decisions you can make. There are people who lost scholarships, careers, and relationships because they kept following the wrong influences. One moment of poor judgment can erase years of hard work. That is why wisdom matters more than popularity. Being accepted by the wrong crowd is never worth sacrificing your future. Sometimes people stay in toxic groups because they remember the good moments. They hope things will eventually change. But loyalty should not require destroying yourself emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. Holding on to unhealthy relationships only delays healing and growth. The crowd usually follows emotions, while wise people follow principles. Emotions change quickly depending on the situation. Principles keep people grounded even when pressure appears. A strong foundation helps people make better choices when temptation shows up. The wrong crowd often makes irresponsibility look attractive. They glorify reckless living while ignoring the long-term damage it creates. Social media also adds pressure by making destructive lifestyles appear exciting. But behind many glamorous images is hidden regret. You do not have to prove yourself to people who do not value your future. Real confidence comes from knowing who you are without needing constant approval. People who constantly seek validation become easy to manipulate. The wrong crowd takes advantage of insecurity. A wise person understands that every decision carries consequences. Even small choices can slowly shape the direction of your life. The people you spend time with influence those choices daily. That is why your circle matters more than many people realize. Some friendships are only built around bad habits. Once you stop participating in destructive behavior, the relationship falls apart. That reveals the friendship was never genuine to begin with. Real connections survive growth and positive change. The wrong crowd often encourages shortcuts instead of discipline. They want fast success without effort or responsibility. But shortcuts usually create bigger problems later. True success takes patience, consistency, and sacrifice. There are moments in life when walking away becomes necessary for survival. Not everybody deserves unlimited access to your life. Some people drain your energy, distract your focus, and tempt you into bad decisions. Protecting your peace is not selfish. People who constantly mock your dreams should never control your future. If someone only speaks negativity into your life, you should question why they are around you. Encouragement matters more than people think. Supportive environments help people grow stronger. The wrong crowd can slowly make chaos feel normal. Constant drama, arguments, and recklessness become everyday experiences. Eventually, peace starts feeling unfamiliar because dysfunction became comfortable. Healthy environments should not constantly leave you exhausted. A person who truly respects themselves does not follow every trend blindly. They think carefully before making decisions. They understand that temporary popularity is not worth permanent consequences. Wisdom requires self-control. You should pay attention to the direction people are heading before following them. Someone can sound confident while leading others toward destruction. Charisma without wisdom is dangerous. Not every loud voice deserves influence. The wrong crowd often laughs at responsibility because they fear accountability. They avoid serious conversations about growth and the future. Instead, they distract themselves constantly to avoid facing reality. Escaping responsibility only creates bigger struggles later. There are people who secretly want you to stay stuck because your growth reminds them of their own lack of discipline. Instead of improving themselves, they criticize your progress. Not everybody clapping for you genuinely supports you. Discernment matters. Life becomes easier when you stop trying to impress people who do not truly care about you. Chasing approval is exhausting because the standards constantly change. One day, people praise you, and the next day, they criticize you. Building your identity on public opinion leads to instability. The wrong crowd usually avoids accountability at all costs. They blame everyone else for their mistakes instead of taking responsibility. Over time, this mindset spreads through the group. Excuses become normal while growth becomes rare. You cannot build a strong future in weak environments. Constant negativity slowly damages motivation and discipline. Even talented people can fail when surrounded by the wrong influences. Environment either supports growth or destroys it. Many people stay silent when they know something is wrong because they fear rejection. They go along with harmful behavior to avoid standing out. But silence can still lead to consequences. Following the crowd does not remove personal responsibility. The strongest decisions are often the hardest ones. Walking away from toxic friendships can feel painful at first, but protecting your peace, values, and future is worth the temporary discomfort. Sometimes distance is necessary for growth. The wrong crowd often teaches people to chase pleasure instead of purpose. They prioritize temporary excitement over long-term fulfillment. But empty distractions can never replace genuine peace and direction. Eventually, people begin craving something deeper. A wise person learns to recognize patterns before disaster happens. If certain people constantly attract chaos, drama, and destruction, that is not a coincidence. Repeated behavior reveals character. Pay attention to patterns instead of excuses. There are friendships that only survive when everybody stays broken together. The moment one person begins improving, tension appears. Growth exposes insecure relationships. Real friends celebrate progress instead of resenting it. The wrong crowd can make people lose sight of who they truly are. Constant pressure to fit in slowly changes personality, beliefs, and priorities. Over time, people begin living for acceptance instead of purpose. That lifestyle eventually leads to emptiness. You should never feel guilty for protecting your future. Some people will accuse you of changing simply because you stopped tolerating unhealthy behavior. Growth naturally creates distance from certain environments. Not everybody is meant to go where you are headed. The crowd usually focuses on the present, while wise people think about the future. Every action plants seeds for tomorrow. Reckless choices may seem small now, but consequences grow over time. Thinking ahead protects people from unnecessary pain. The wrong crowd often hides insecurity behind arrogance. Loud behavior and constant attention-seeking are sometimes distractions from deeper struggles. Broken people frequently try to escape their pain through chaos. Healing requires honesty. Not everybody deserves influence over your mind. The conversations you listen to daily affect your perspective. Constant negativity can slowly drain motivation and hope. Protecting your thoughts is part of protecting your future. A real friend wants to see you become better, not worse. They encourage discipline, honesty, and responsibility. They support your growth even when it changes the relationship. Genuine people do not fear your improvement. The wrong crowd can pull talented people away from their calling. Potential means nothing without discipline and direction. Many gifted individuals wasted years because they followed people with no vision. Your future depends heavily on your choices. Sometimes the best decision is simply saying no. No to pressure, no to distractions, and no to environments that damage your peace. Self-control protects people from unnecessary regret. Strength is not always loud. You become stronger when you stop needing approval from everybody around you. Independence allows people to think clearly instead of blindly following trends. Confidence grows when your identity comes from purpose instead of popularity. The wrong crowd usually avoids growth because growth requires accountability. It is easier to stay distracted than face uncomfortable truths. But ignoring reality never improves reality. Change begins with honesty. People often realize too late that bad company slowly changed them. Habits they once hated eventually became normal. Standards they once respected slowly disappeared. That is why awareness matters. You should surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow. Good environments encourage discipline, peace, and wisdom. Positive influences help bring out the best in people. Your circle should inspire progress instead of destruction. The wrong crowd often creates temporary excitement but long-term pain. The laughter fades while the consequences remain. Many regrets begin with moments that seemed harmless at first. Wisdom looks beyond the moment. Standing alone may feel difficult sometimes, but it is far better than losing yourself trying to fit into the wrong crowd. Peace comes when your actions align with your values. You do not need everybody's approval to build a meaningful life. Protect your future even when it means walking a different path. At the end of the day, the people around you will either help build your future or slowly destroy it. Choose carefully who gets access to your time, energy, and mind. One good decision can completely change the direction of your life. Never underestimate the power of the company you keep. The wrong crowd can cost you everything if you are not careful.